We've 4 months ago had our first child. She's been an absolute dream. The problem is life happens and everything becomes a bit unorganized. So what we're going to do about it is I've decided I want to put up some floating shelves, and by doing that we can have a bit of a display shelf, we can have a universal shelf that we can use to store baby formula, things like that, and then just free up the space in the cabinet a bit more. So let's get rid of the clutter and we can crack on. So what we need for this project is we need obviously the solid timber, which is what we've chosen for the shelves. We'll then obviously need a spirit level, a speed square, a pencil, some shelf supports as well. We'll need the drill bits, a clamp, masking tape and measuring tape, and then obviously the drill, which will come in later. So firstly, you'd have to figure out where you'd like your shelves to be. You can offset your shelves, you can stagger them, you can have them running parallel to each other as well. We've chosen the parallel option purely based on the fact that next to us over here, we're going to be putting some baby photos and some family photos that will liven up the space a bit for us. Firstly, what we'd have to do is we'd have to measure the length of the shelf so that we know what increments to divide it up in for the shelf supports. My shelf is at a meter. I generally like to start with 100 mils in for the shelf supports, and the reason for that is if you do have to drill too close to the edge, you might risk splitting your timber. Now, we've chosen to go with 4 shelf supports, so I would have to get another 2 markings in here. What you generally do, you take from your first 100 to your second 100, that's 80, and you divide that by 3. I've transferred the original marks that I've made using the speed square. Make sure that the speed square is flush up against your timber. You can then just... The ideal situation would be to drill these on a workbench and clamp them down, but as the majority of us won't have a workbench at our house, I would strongly suggest we find a smooth, straight surface, and you can clamp your workpiece, in this case our floating shelves. You can actually clamp those down, and that will give you enough stability to do your drilling. I'm quickly going to get the tape measure back out, and I'm going to measure the center of my workpiece. And in our case, we have 25 mil shelves, so it'll be on the 12.5 mark. Okay, and then what we can do is an old carpenter's trick. You can actually run your guide by using your finger all the way across, and that transfers your line to there. We're ready to drill now. We'll position the sharp pointy end onto your mark, and by using your set square, you make sure that you are perpendicular. I suggest just starting slow, getting the drill bit to bite, and once it bites, still just checking every now and again. And we can gauge our depth by using the actual product that we have. This is our shelf support. Our shelf support is 90 mils, so that's effectively how deep we need to be drilling. The best way to be able to mark that is to put a piece of masking tape onto your drill bit so that you know exactly how far to drill. And I think we're good. There we go. Now we've just got to do the rest of them. Now that we've drilled our holes, we need to measure the shelf height. In our case, we've decided to use a height of 700. The reason for that is that everything underneath the shelf is exceptionally accessible. What we'll do is I'll make another mark for the length of my shelf, which is at 1 meter. We've got our mark. We lift, need a pencil and spirit level line. That's it. Now we can make a mark where our lines are going to go. Now I know exactly where I want to drill. A quick tip, get yourself a Ziploc bag, get yourself some masking tape, put it on the inside of the bag and stick it to the wall. This is just to catch the dust from when you're drilling into the walls. So we're now going to change to a new drill. This drill has got a masonry drill bit. It's for concrete and walls. Once you get stable, make sure that you're square, make sure that you're straight. And once you get going, don't stop, because what will happen is the drill will shift on you. Get your mark, line your drill up, and the shelf support plug that we're using, this is a concealed shelf support. It has a plastic sort of wall plug at the back here that's got a washer. And as you insert the plastic into the wall, you fasten it. As that starts tightening, it pulls the washer down, which expands the plastic, and that's what gives you your grip strength into the wall. So once you get to the wall, you're going to insert it, push it all the way in, make sure that you're fine, and start fastening it by hand. You can feel it starting to grip on the inside. You can then use the pliers and fasten it. And there we go. So moments of truth has come. If you have gotten your measurements correct and you've transferred everything the way you should have, it should just go on relatively easily. Let's have a look. And then the last thing you want to check is whether you're level, and we're spot on. Now that we've done the first shelf, before you put the second shelf on, find out what you'd like to utilize the shelf for. In our case, it needs to be able to fit the baby formula in. So the minimum requirement we have is anything above here. So I'm just going to take a borderline concept. I'll measure that height. It's approximately 27. I'll transfer that height to here. What we need to do now is we're just going to make sure we're going to transfer our lines up vertically so that we can make sure our shelves are perfectly parallel to each other. And you would need your speed square and you would need your spirit level for that. And you can transfer any lines you need, and you know you're going to be perfectly adjacent to what you have to do for your shelf. And that's it. There's the shelves installed, ready to go. We now have ample space. And what I would say is double check what kind of weights you want on your shelves. Ours isn't going to take a lot of weight, so we've gone for a very small shelf pin. There are other heavy duty ones that you guys can have a look at.
For home renovation and DIY solutions, visit Galma in store or browse online.